It's a new week, so do you want to guess what that means? There must be a new scandal from FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, and would you look at that? There is. I really don't know what to say about this guy. So, to recap, as of late, we found out that he's also caught up in the scandal involving AT&T and Donald Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen. And now we're learning that he is in bed with the Koch brothers. He's allowing them to, or their cronies more specifically, to set up an office in the FCC. Not even kidding about that. So, as Alex Koch of TYT Investigates explains, two recent employees from key groups financially supported by billionaire industrialists Charles and David Koch are creating a new office within the Federal Communications Commission that will provide economic data and analysis relating to FCC policy initiatives. The office could provide FCC Chairman Ajit Pai with analytical justification for slashing regulations. The two officials launching the new office both have ties to George Mason University, which has been funneling academic conservatives into government roles since becoming a major beneficiary of Koch money. Both have either been employed by or had their academic work funded by the Kochs and by the telecommunications industry, and FCC records obtained by TYT show that one of them met with and corresponded with telecom industry representatives, one of whom was his wife. An email obtained by TYT showed that one of them explicitly hoped to recruit officials for the new office at a telecom industry event. Wow. In 2017, Pai spoke at an event hosted by Charles and his brother David Koch's flagship political nonprofit, Americans for Prosperity. The group praised Pai and the FCC for repealing net neutrality in December. More than half of the anti-net neutrality comments to the FCC's second call for comments in 2014 came from a primarily Koch-funded group called American Commitment. Pai also spoke at an event co-sponsored by the Charles Koch Institute last year. So really, Ajit Pai has his hands in all the conservative cookie jars that the country has to offer. Think about how problematic this is. He's allowing Koch brother cronies to set up shop in the FCC to produce propaganda that would justify and legitimize his repeal of net neutrality. It really doesn't get any more Orwellian than that. These are individuals not just financially backed by the Koch brothers, but the telecom industry itself. They were recruiting people at a telecom event to take part in this new office, and the creation of this new office, mind you, was approved in a 3-2 vote along party lines, because Ajit Pai and his Republican stooges in the FCC voted for it. That includes Mike O'Reilly, Brendan Carr, and of course, the king of corruption himself, Ajit Pai. So, this really isn't surprising at all. I think that there's very little that could surprise me about Ajit Pai at this point. Clearly, I don't have to spell out how this is a clear conflict of interest. We shouldn't have people so close to a government agency that they've literally set up shop in a government agency if they came from the industry and they are funded by conservative groups that are against net neutrality. I mean, that's clearly a blatant conflict of interest, but if we've learned anything about Ajit Pai, it's that he doesn't care about the optics of the situation. It's that he wants to make sure that he fulfills his agenda, because he knows that even if he's getting, a lot of criticism currently, the payoff will be worthwhile when he leaves the FCC inevitably and goes to work for Verizon or, some lobbying firm. So, I don't really know what else to say about this. A new week always brings us another story involving Ajit Pai and how he's corrupt, or how there's another conflict of interest that diminishes his ability to act impartially. And again, what's so absurd about all of this is that the Federal Communications Commission is a government agency that's supposed to protect consumers, but Ajit Pai basically did a 180. He now has taken the agency in a direction to where they're doing everything possible to hurt consumers. He's rolled back a ton of regulations and protections, the most serious of which being net neutrality, but he's also made poor people's access to broadband, a lot more difficult to obtain by cutting off subsidies that they received before. So this guy is so just shamelessly corrupt. He doesn't care how it looks. He doesn't care that we continuously bash him for being corrupt. He does not care, because again, if you stand to gain millions of dollars with a cushy new job after you leave the FCC, I mean, you can weather the storm, so to speak, currently, if you know that the payoff will be worth it. So, yeah, it's sad. It really is, because the FCC has been completely taken over by the industry. This is a coup. Ajit Pai is letting them regulate themselves. How absurd is that? But I mean, it's not that scandalous, because this type of thing happens all the time. We just don't see it. We don't see public officials wear it on their sleeves as much as Ajit Pai does.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.